Oh my goodness. Like, hi everybody. Caffeine Fox here. It feels so good to say that again. It's been so long since I've gotten back on the grind of making videos again. Apologies by the way. I am just recovering from like this random bug going around, and it's not the kind that turns you into your fursona. So I apologize ahead of time if I sound a little
sniffly.
I think I'm recovering, but yeah. So I had a moment where I had a thought creep into my head when I was least expecting it. You know how that happens? Like you'll be driving down the freeway, or you'll be in the shower, or watching another rerun of House, and all of a sudden this thought just comes into your head and it just fills you with existential dread.
Well,
that happened to me very, very recently, like yesterday, and I just cannot stop thinking about it now. It's kind of like whenever you have a thought about something really embarrassing that you did either in high school or wherever, and your brain is like,
hey, what if we just remind you of this horrible thing that you just buried away? We're just gonna have you focus on that, okay?
You're just gonna focus on this one thought and nothing else matters in the world. So that's pretty much what happened to me, and I'm excited to share with all of you this really embarrassing thing that I've done, and I kind of forgot I did it until my brain was kind enough to remind me that it happened. I was about 5 at the time that this happened. I already did a video about embarrassing stories, and those are my most embarrassing stories that I could think of at the time, but I feel like this one kind of tops all of those stories in terms of just sheer nastiness, just sheer grossness. I think that's a word, grossness. Either way, I'm adding it to the dictionary today. That's right, you're gonna learn something on this channel. Yeah, so context into what I was actually going through. Thing that my brain was like, Calf, this is your focus in life now. You're just gonna think about nothing but this until 3 a.m. and then we might let you sleep. So when I was 5, my dad ended up getting stationed over in Washington, D.C. So I was this young calf at the time, just exploring the world, living my best life. I read a lot of books. I happened to come across an article. I think I was reading some kind of encyclopedia. I don't know why. I was an incredibly boring kid. And there's a story about this tribe in Africa that eats ants because there is like a nectar inside of the ants because it's like a sweet treat, I guess. So I thought that was the most amazing thing ever. When you're 5, bugs are like the coolest thing ever. At least they were to me. So anytime there was an opportunity to get around those creepy crawlies, I was all over it. This story just fascinated me, and I kept thinking about these ants and why I haven't seen any yet. In my mind, it was just because I wasn't looking hard enough. Those ants are out there somewhere and I'm gonna
snack on them.
So after we finished reading that part of the book, I just went about on my daily business doing 5-year-old things until one day I end up going to a playground in Washington, D.C. Now, for those of you who do not know, yes, Washington, D.C. is on the east coast of America. Not exactly the savannas of Africa, but in my 5-year-old brain, everything was the savannas of Africa. So I'm in the playground, just, playing around on the jungle gym and stuff, and I still can't believe I did this. I noticed out of the corner of my eye a bunch of ants climbing up the side of a tree. In my brain, I thought, wow, these must be the delicacy that I've heard so much about. Needless to say, these ants were not the ants from Africa. These are just some really, really large, scary looking ants. I picked them up by the fistful. Yes, fistful. There were a lot of ants on that tree. Not exactly that many after I finished eating all of them, but I put them into my mouth and just start chewing away on these ants that I found in the playground in Washington, D.C. And the first thing I notice is they do not taste like honey. They taste like ants. Now, for those of you who have never eaten an ant before, let me try and explain it in a way, I guess, that could hopefully have this nightmare fully realized for you. They taste like grapes that have been left on somebody's dashboard in the sun for about 6 months, and then you add a little bit of spice on top of it, and then you put those inside of an old fursuit and shake it up. And that is what ants taste like. I still remember what those ants taste like to this day. I'll be having having a nice meal at a restaurant, and then my brain will be like, you know what? These are probably gonna be like ants. That's all I'm thinking about now. I just can't stop thinking about ants and the horrors that I inflicted upon myself. Going back in time, I would definitely tell the younger version of myself to not eat ants off the tree. They are not the ants from the savannas of Africa. There is no honey inside of those ants. There's just misery and deception. And this is a thought that I never really thought about until like yesterday. So I'm eating breakfast this morning and I'm thinking about ants. I'm just thinking about how these Lucky Charms that I'm eating are really delicious, but there's also the flavor of ants out there. And then I start focusing on that. So pretty much right now, everything tastes like ants until my brain decides to forget this. So yeah, that's pretty much how I ended up discovering that just because you read it in a book does not necessarily mean it's gonna apply to you at that exact moment. Young Calf was stupid, but hey, older Calf is slightly less stupid. So there's that. Oh my goodness. So hopefully this cold ends up going away, but I just wanted to say thank you all so much for watching today's kind of a weird ant story. It's just something that I thought about recently, and I was like, you know what? What's the best thing I could do? Share it with complete strangers on the internet. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and, possibly subscribe. That'd be pretty cool. I'm sure the ants would have done it had I not eaten them. And with that, have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. And if you see ants on the tree, do not eat them unless your persona is an anteater, in which case, go for it. Bye.
Special thanks to STL Motovlogs, Blueberry Husky, Chase Husky, Sparkle, Ashira Pony, Sylvie Cat, Moodle, DH, Apollo Bunny, Dynamo, Dexo, Amaranth Cantonine, and Sinnerkitten.